are close to the end. Of course, 2016 has ended. Then we saw the execution of some government projects and award of fresh contracts. But many people are worried such late contracts may trigger payment of judgment debts. And the Ghana Integrity Initiative last month warned the outgoing government decision to sign an e-waste contract days after it lost the general election could lead to more judgment debt. The anti-corruption unit said it would have been prudent for the NDC government to have allowed such new contracts to be handled by the new government. Following that decision, the outgoing government has signed fresh contracts with agencies such as Suba Info Solutions. The latest on the issue has to do with projects which have been undertaken by some contractors for the Ghana Education Trust Fund without pay. Now, the aggrieved contractors have threatened a demonstration if they are not paid anytime soon. And Vitus Azim is the former executive director of Ghana Integrity Initiative, and he is on the line with us to just expand this bit issue. So, Vitus, what do you think about this entire issue of government awarding contracts almost at the end of its tenure?
Well, I personally think that it may be legal, but I think it's not proper for government during the transition process to be taking major decisions. Because one, you will ask, is it in the budget? And we know that the budget for the first 3 months of 2017 is just for recurrent expenditure. It is not, there's no provision for capital expenditure. So one, if it's not in the budget, I think it is wrong. Now, if it's wrong, and they've gone ahead to sign it, the contractors are signing these things at their own risk. Because I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe if it ends in the courts, the government would have been found to have done the wrong thing, and the contracts can be rendered void.
But Vitus, how can a legal contract given to somebody be a bad one, particularly when we understand that government doesn't really come to an end? It is just the end of one administration and there is a transition, or we are handing over the administration of a country to a new government. How can that be determined to be bad?
We have procurement laws to follow. We have the Constitution that provides that certain things must be done for a contract to be valid. For example, you know, in this country, the Supreme Court ruled that some contracts were not valid because they did not get Parliament's approval. Yeah. And the major thing is the budget. Has Parliament approved a budget for some of these contracts that they are signing? If Parliament has not approved, one expects the contractors to have known that they have not been approved by Parliament and that they cannot be, they shouldn't have gone into signing those contracts. So that's the first thing. If Parliament has not approved, where is government getting the money to pay for this for the work if this is executed? So the the new government will use that already as a basis. And I think that contractors should, at this stage, they should have lawyers to advise them as to whether to enter into these contracts or not. Then you would look at where the procurement rules, provision of the procurement law followed. For example, what is the criteria for determining who should be given those contracts? What is the capacity of the person to fulfill, to execute the contract? And what are the financial implications? If, for example, you discover that the cost was inflated using false information, that could be enough for you to terminate the contract without having any problems with the courts. So this is the situation.
So how should we handle this issue of contractors who have executed the jobs given to them by the outgoing government but have not received their monies? No,
if contractors have executed the work signed by entered into based on contracts signed into by the ruling government, of course they are binding on the government. But I thought you were talking about contracts that were signed between December 7th and today as we are talking. But as for people who have done the work, well, it's binding on the government to pay unless they find out that there's no delivery, there's short work. There are other criteria that have not been complied with by the contractors. Otherwise, there shouldn't be any problem with that. It's probably just that there's no money at present and the government has not paid. And the new government has a responsibility to take over and pay those monies.
Well, we just saw some Get Fund contractors who have, assembled at the headquarters claiming that they have done their jobs and they want to collect their money. But from the grapevine, we get the feeling it's out of fear that the incoming government might not pay them for the jobs that have been done. Is that fear genuine? I
don't think that fear is genuine. If they have done the work, if they have gone by the terms of the contract, the new government cannot refuse to pay them. If you say you are supposed to build a two-classroom block, and then the new government goes to see that the two-classroom block is built, what will be the basis for that government not to pay them? So I don't think that that's a fear. It is probably just a way to make the new government begin to panic about the monies that they inherit and whether they can use that money to pay them. But I don't think that they can refuse to pay them. They probably need to negotiate, to meet them and negotiate terms of payment if there's no money in the consolidated fund.
Right. We're grateful for your time. Vitus Ojim is the former chief executive of Ghana Integrity Initiative. You're watching News 360.